Hoi Hoi, my name is Kitsundere van Lonelyheart, and I get a lot of vivid and lucid dreams, which I usually designed in a game-like way. And I had a dream recent night that I wanna talk about because I think it's a really cool a prologue to a video game. Now, before the dream starts, I have to explain that I have like this video game universe, which is called. Holy fuck! One moment, please. I forgot to close my window because the outside world is very loud. Um, so anyway, I have this video game universe, which I call Hyperverse, and or like the universe is called Hyperverse, and the actual title is Welcome to the Hyperverse because it's like an isekai story. In short, it's like WTTH. Um, and for this universe, I like to create gacha game characters because like my original my original inspiration for making this was the Hyperdimension Neptunia series. Because I think that in concept it's like a really cool game idea, despite it being like low effort or like very generic gameplay. Um, but anyway, so eventually I've played games like Raid Shadow Legends and Genshin Impact, and I just really like how the party building works in this game. And this is something that I've been missing from like other games, like more modern games, right? It's like the the party building aspect, right? That's like what I'm missing in modern Western games. So I wanted to do something like something similar to this. So the idea is essentially you have a bunch of characters and then you try to figure out how those characters work together. Anyway, one of those characters is a character named Tanastasia. Um, she is based off Calliope Mori, so she's kind of my copyright free version of Kali, in case I ever want to make a actual game with her. The name Anastasia is a combination of Thanatos, which is like a minor character in Greek mythology. He's often depicted as an angel, and he works for Hades and essentially collects the souls of those who are about to die. So I'm assuming that Kali's design was based on him. And the second part is Anastasia, right? So Thanatos and Anastasia, Thanastasia. And Anastasia is just a name that I often associate with goth and death because some of the goth bands that I listen to use this name a lot. Um, so anyway, now before the dream starts, I don't exactly know what the setting of the beginning was, so this is just an assumption. But based on context, I'm assuming that I was a professor at a university in Istanbul, which sounds a little bit weird, but I mean it's a dream, it's dream logic, so it doesn't really matter that much. The dream starts with me reading a book in a library, but then suddenly I get I cannot read. I'm sorry about that. Um, I can't read my own notes. I just woke up an hour ago and I literally spent the last hour writing down my dream. Um, so anyway, um, so suddenly I get visited by Anastasia, who tells me that she is here to collect my soul since I'm about to die. I do accept my fate, but I see another person behind her, so I tell her there's someone behind her. But she doesn't believe me, saying that this is the oldest trick people use to avoid death. The person behind her draws a weapon, and so do I, right? Which is a sword, right? Like, I don't know, for some reason I'm a professor at a university in Istanbul who carries a sword. I have no idea in which age this takes place. Like, it could be modern, it could be, I don't know, like Renaissance or something like that. Like somewhere around the 1600s. I mean, which would technically make sense because, like, in the 1500s, Byzantios, Byzantine, like the city of Byzance, what was the, I forgot, whatever, was conquered by the Ottomans and then it became Istanbul. So, like, it would make sense if it's, like, somewhere around the 1600s. Or, like, at least, it has to be at least, like, 1600s or 1500s would, like, be the earliest possible date, for the stream to take place. Where was I? Yeah, so I draw a weapon, and so the person behind her draws a weapon, so do I, which is a sword, and I tell Anastasia that the person behind her drew a weapon, but she ignored me, reading her guide, because she thinks that I'm about to attack her. Right, so, like, it's like the type of dream where you are, like, one person, but you also know what the other person is thinking, because the narrative of the dream tells you so. So suddenly the person behind Anastasia lunges forward to strike her, so I lunge forward to parry the attack, which makes Anastasia lunge forwards to strike me down. I successfully parry the third person's attack but get killed by Anastasia. This is like, you could say this is like the intro to the video game, right? And the actual, or like the intro cutscene to the video game, and the actual game now begins. After dying, I wake up laying on Anastasia. I can't pronounce the names of the characters that I've created. Oh my god. I wake up laying on Anastasia's lap, and she tells me that she realized that I was telling the truth after she killed me. But it doesn't matter because she had to kill me anyway, right? She was here to collect my soul because I was about to die anyway. So it didn't matter whether she believed me or not. She tells me that the attacker was a Pusa that attacked with a snake-like whip, and if I hadn't parried the attack, she would have been bitten by the snake and died of poison. So, as a thanks, she was shoving my face into her boobs. Yes, that's. Yeah, that's literally what I dreamt. But it's like, I literally dreamt that Kali Mori was shoving my face into her boobs as a thank. But that's like the only loot part in the stream, I promise. So, in case you don't know what an Impusa is, it's like a side note that I've written down here. It's essentially the Greek version of a succubus, which doesn't make sense because, as far as I know, succubus are also Greek for some. But for some reason in pop culture, we call what an Impusa should be a succubus, while a succubus is technically a different creature. Like, as far as I know, like, succubus are more dream-related, and Impusa are more physical. But anyway, after her thanking me, we get up and she tells me that I'm a shade now, since if a human dies, they become shades, which can live on in Hades or Elysium. Now, as a professor working in Istanbul, I'm familiar. It's so weird reading that, I'm sorry. Like, the weird part is, I have written down the dream as the way I receive this, right? So the lyrical, like the protagonist, the perspective is from my perspective. But then I'm also having side notes that is from, like, so like I'm essentially reading from the perspective of me in the dream, and then I've also have side notes from me in real life that explain some things. This feels so weird. Anyway, now as a professor working in Istanbul, I'm familiar with Greek mythology, and so I asked her whether I could help her get revenge on an Impusa. Since I'm a loser in life and my access to Elysium would be denied unless I became a hero, and since I saved her, since I saved her life, she agrees with me that she agrees that I should help her, or like she allows me to help her get revenge. And then we start our journey to Hades to figure out why someone would try to kill her. Right, so that's essentially the intro to the game, and now the gameplay starts. The next, so as a note, the next section of the dream is less detailed. It's just having me a casual scientific and philosophical talk with Panastasia while we walk to Hades. So we walk down into the basement of the university, which now has become an access point to the underworld. Panastasia tells me that as a shade, I can get to the underworld from anywhere as long as I go down, right? So like as long as I move towards the center of the Earth, or as long as I move towards the underworld, I can eventually reach the underworld, which is a very interesting concept. About dying and what happens to you after dying. While walking, she tells me that as a shade I have a second life, but if I die again, I will vanish from existence. I asked her whether she would become a shade after dying too, and she told me that she technically was born as a shade. So this is essentially like part of the scientific and philosophical talk that I have with her while we are walking towards Hades. As we go down further, she tells me about how much she likes the city of Babylon while referring to Istanbul. So I tell her that she meant Istanbul, but she is insisting that the city is called Babylon, which reminded me of the Kirschbaum theory. This is a really weird part about the dream. So essentially, there's the concept. Okay, there's like more sentences. I will read them and then explain what I mean by this. I explained to her that the Kirschbaum room is a theoretical room which acts as a bridge between two different universes, where the room changes appearance based on which universe you are from. So I see the city as Istanbul, while she sees it as Babylon. Okay, so now I have like a little side note here, which kinda explains my thought about what this is supposed to mean. So I have no idea where this comes from. Kirschbaum is the German word for cherry tree, and I'm assuming that a professor named Kirschbaum came up with this pseudo-scientific concept. So like essentially, I don't know if this is like a real concept or not, and I have sometimes heard about it and then somehow implemented into my dream, or if it's a concept that I dreamt up, like that I created in my dreams. Which isn't that uncommon for me. Like when I dream, I create lots of stuff, lots of bullshit, but also some actually interesting stuff. Um, so it's like a concept that I created in my dreams somehow, and it also doesn't make sense that she would refer to Istanbul as Babylon. That was, by the way, part of my dream. Me thinking that it doesn't make sense that she would refer to Istanbul as Babylon, because geographically Babylon is far away from Istanbul. It would have more sense if it would have made more sense if she referred to it as Trakion or Thracion or something like that, because it's like an old name for the region today's Istanbul is in. And like I have no idea what's going on. I'm like confused on multiple layers. Okay, but that's like the side note to the Kirschbaum room theory. I find this concept very interesting. Like, a bridge between two universes, and the bridge looks different depending on from which universe you are. Anyway, as we were walking towards Hades, we suddenly got attacked by soldiers of Hades, and for some reason, Anastasia turned into a baby. So I had to fight against those soldiers on my own, but I did won. Because apparently a random university professor is a better fighter than a group of underworld warriors. Now you could call this silly dream logic, but I think it's actually very fitting in the context of video games, because video game logic is like, hey, you are this random dude who has just picked up a weapon, and you're fighting against soldiers and you're beating them up like they're some bunch of untrained low-level monsters. So I found this kind of funny, like in this sense. After the fight, I picked up baby Panastasia and walked a little bit further, where then I met Cerberus at the gate to Hades. He lets me through since I'm a shade. Like, as you might know or not, Cerberus is like the guardian to the underworld. He essentially only lets the dead through, and he eats the ones that are alive. which is a little bit weird because it essentially means like the person that is going towards Hades, whether they're alive or not, will always go to, because if they are alive they will be killed by Cerberus and then they are dead and can enter or something. I don't know. I don't know the actual lore, but this is like something that I find a little bit weird about the concept of Cerberus. So he lets me through since I'm a shade and I meet Hades himself. He's thanking me for saving and bringing back baby Anastasia, and he claimed that those soldiers that attacked us went rogue, and they actually kidnapped her. But that doesn't make sense based off my perspective. Since I came here with her, so I told him my side of the story and called the current phenomenon a triple Kirschbaum layer. So it's not just that I created this concept in my dream, but I also referred to the concept later in the dream, which is so weird. But anyway, I explained to him what the Kirschbaum room is, and he agrees with me, saying that the person who tried to kill Anastasia when she came to collect me is the same person who hired those soldiers who tried to kidnap her as a baby, and somehow this person created a time paradox where the past is overlapping with the present and the future. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it probably explains like some things in the dream before, like for example, why she was referring to Istanbul as Babylon, like in the sense of it's not that like three time layers are overlapping. It's more like that three parallel universes are overlapping or something like this. That's what that's the thought I had when I was writing this down. But that would be wild. Like, having an explanation for something that happens in the beginning of the dream at the end of the dream, that would be crazy. But to be fair, I sometimes have that. Like, I have really crazy dreams. I had another script prepared where I wanted to talk about some major dreams I had like in the past 5 years. But I've never got to actually make a video around it because I do think it's a little bit cringe. Um, anyway, so I've asked Hades whether I could take down that traitor, right? So the person who essentially who's trying to kill Anastasia. And in exchange, I want to gain access to Elysium because I'm like, I don't want to hang around Hades. I don't want to hang around Erebus. I do want to go to Elysium where all the heroes are. And he allowed me to do, since technically I'm free labor to him, but it doesn't cost him anything to allow me into Elysium, and if I die, I will just vanish, and so he doesn't have to bother with me anyway. So he agrees to this and allows me to pursue the traitor. Now this is the end of the dream. Like, telling about the dream is actually much shorter than I experienced it. Especially, I've literally spent like an hour writing this, and now I've just read it in like 20 minutes. Which is very weird. Like, what I really like about this is like such a good prologue to a potential video game. And I do have a lot of dreams that are video game-like. And they are generally inspiring me to do things on my own video game universe. But it's just unfortunate that I don't have time, skill, or experience, or whatever you need to make a video game. Because at the end of the day, I'm mostly dreaming up stories, but video games are more than just stories. So that's like a little bit sad. But anyway, that was the dream that I wanted to talk about. I really like this as like in the sense of, hey, that's like the perfect prologue to a potential video game, right? Like, the video game is about I don't know, it doesn't make sense, but the video game is about a professor that dies, I don't know, probably because he was sick or something, and then meets like an angel of death, and I don't know, falls in love with the angel of death, which is why he tries, like, he's blinded by the beauty of death, and that's why he tries to protect death, and then gets like killed by death, because that's why death came to him. But then death actually realizes that his that he tried to protect her, and then goes on a journey with him to get revenge on the person who tried to kill her. That's like a really interesting story, or at least it's like a story interesting in a sense of, I don't know, it's a little bit cringe. Like it's like how I feel about anime. It's interesting in concept, but it's also a little bit cringe. But I think you need to embrace a little bit of cringe in order to gain happiness. Like, if you were not to embrace cringe, then you just deny happiness to your life. And that's why I'm a VTuber, because being a VTuber is the cringe that I tolerate. Okay, anyway, I hope you enjoyed my story time, even though it was a little bit scuffed since I'm an idiot. Um, since I cannot talk, I cannot read, and cannot do anything else. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and goodbye!